Hey guys, so yeah, I'm here to review this year's wrap up of the current Melting Eye annual series that DezzieArts, aka real name is Michelle, DezzieArts does on an annual basis. Now, in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, for those of you that might be new to my channel in recent months and recent years, DezzieArts, aka Michelle, does these stories, kind of like story series, if you will, based on characters, mostly female characters, and I say that with all due respect, no offense, that have shape-shifting powers that allow them to shape-shift and become anything or anyone they want, as well as even melt down into puddles of goo. And she had a primary series called Metamorphosized to Malleability. And in this series, she had a character called Briella, who gained these powers, gained her powers, I should say, through scientific kind of accident or something. I can't really recall. I have to go back and look. But throughout the series, which has gone almost to about 310 chapters, or shifts, as she calls it, Briella has evolved as a character, along with her powers, to the point that she can be basically anywhere at the same time she uses her powers to create other things. Like she could be standing in front of you as herself, but you could be, leaning on let's say, a counter that's made from her as well. It's kind of like that. Well, not one to want to run out of ideas and all that. Michelle DezzieArts, she ended up creating some other stories. One of the more familiar stories that she's done outside of Metamorphosized Malleability is Unlimited. Well, basically, it focuses on a guy called Isaac who gains clay-face abilities, and let's just say it almost cost him his existence because he takes on a lot of different IDs and personas, mostly of the female aspect, but he's able to come to a mutual agreement with his now female alter egos who have taken on a life of their own. Well, the other story series that she's been doing is one that she's done on a more annual basis. And that, of course, I should say, is the Melting Eye series. That's Melting and then M-E-I, because that's the name of the main character, Melting Eye series. And basically it focuses on a character called Miai who gains these powers, to shapeshift into whatever she wants or whoever she wants, but mainly kind of ooze and be gooey and all that. And what happens over time is her powers evolve to the point that, the more she utilizes them, the more she utilizes them, the more she's able to do a lot more. In other words, for example, at the beginning, when she really got used to it, and she used them to kind of be like the spa, if you will, the little relaxing bath spa, if you will. For her girlfriend's clients, if you will, or customers. Basically, she'd be able to use her ability to be the liquid, if you will, to kind of recharge herself, if not grow her powers and evolve her powers even more, to the point that she can take on the identity of maybe someone that is stoking her or something like that. Well, what she also does is she gives her girlfriend, Zahara, who owns a massage spa parlor, if you will, called Ultimate Bliss. She gives her a taste of it, and Zahara gets into it. She loves it. She's still learning, less experienced than Miai, but they enjoy having, let's say, very active, quote unquote, active intimacy with each other when they start using the powers, which are basically the same powers that Mia has with each other. And they are able to, get really frisky and all that, melty, gooey, shape-shifty, and even fusion-wise, because they end up creating a fusion, or at least Mii is the one that kind of comes up with this, and then it becomes a mutual fusion called Mara, which is basically kind of like a, I guess she's described as a Latina, because Zahara, I think there's an image that's around there where she's a black character, no offense, and Mii is kind of like Asian American. And their fused form is like Latina American or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, they become Mara, but they end up facing off against an adversary that's been wanting to get Zahara's business, called Lindsay Harsher or something like that. And Lindsay basically hires somebody to do, a little undercover work for her, not realizing that this person she hires doesn't really like doing what she's got to do, but she's got to do it to, pay bills and everything, And this character is called Elizabeth. So when Elizabeth, who kind of is like a master of disguise, has similar powers, but not to the extent that Mii and Zahara have, Elizabeth ends up getting caught by them. And it's through them, it's through Mii giving her a dose of the formula, to kind of keep her in place and see whether or not, okay, this girl on the up and up, she's telling us the truth. Because, again, she gets caught by them. She gets given the formula, kept in a jar, if you will, to kind of prevent her from escaping. And what Mii does is she's like, okay, I'm going to see if this girl's telling the truth. Because something tells me, she's not really that threatening, that she's only doing this for, she's doing this for a reason. So she merges with Elizabeth, and she finds out after merging with her that, hey, this girl may be not as bad as we think she is, but she still got to win our trust, if you will. And Elizabeth, experiencing this power that Mii and Zahara have, realizes that, what she's doing is not only wrong, but what she's experiencing is more enjoyable than trying to ruin anybody's life. Just because a power-crazed entrepreneur wants their business, no matter what the cost. So what happens, long story short, is Elizabeth lets him in on what's going on, and one way she does this is Mii ends up merging with her, and they create a new character called Melissa. And they also kind of, do the first fusing, merging together to kind of, get that trust established in a very interesting, intimate way, if you will. So anyway, that leads us, of course, to this year's annual release. And what happens basically is, at the end of last year's, we got a sneak peek of this year. And basically, the sneak peek we got was Elizabeth helping Mii and Zahara infiltrate Lindsay's headquarters. Because they infiltrated it one time, but then realized, we may have left something there, or something left something there, or, Lindsay might figure something out. And Elizabeth, of course, being the one that used to work for her, comes to the conclusion that, we might have to go back and erase any data that's on the computer and everything, because she might be able to trace it. Oh, and she also is somebody that might figure something's amiss just by the smallest interval, if you will, smallest mishap, if you will. So what happens is what happens with this one is they come up with a plan to go and infiltrate the Lindsay cluster. And hold on for a second. Sorry about that. Hold on for a second. Put that back in there. Yeah, there we go. But like I was saying, and again, sorry about that. That was my mom calling. She has to check in on things. Let me know what she's asked for. But anyway, what happens in this one, this year's, is following up on the sneak peek last year for this year. What happens is they come up with an idea to infiltrate the Lindsay lady main corporation headquarters. Mainly because they want to make sure that certain things are, removed from the computer, certain things are erased, and, nothing is, left, amiss. Basically, nothing is left there to, kind of trail them back and everything, or lead a trail back to them, if you will. Well, what happens is they put this plan into action, and Mei kind of, I guess you could say, a little overconfident because she has the most experience with the powers. Basically decides that she's going to go and do it herself. She's going to infiltrate the area herself. But she does take the information that she is given by fusing with Elizabeth. She takes that knowledge to try to help her out. Unfortunately, as she's doing this, as she goes and accomplishes her job, after she does this, she tries to get ready to leave. She kind of turns to ooze because she got to melt down to ooze to go through the vent ducts and the air ventilation ducts, if you will, and does get to the area she needs to get to. So she does that, and she even disguises herself, I think, as somebody else and everything to try to get this done. But what happens is she gets caught. Just as she's about to escape and basically feel like she's going to fool Lindsay, because she takes on the guise of somebody or some character that supposedly works for Lindsay. But Lindsay doesn't buy it. And basically, from what I gotta go back and read it, but I think what happens is Mei tries to escape, but she gets caught, put in a jar. And basically, Lindsay has kind of secured victory a little bit for the time being, because she's now got the evidence she needs to prove, okay, now I know why Ultimate Bliss is such a success, or why in her mind Zahara doesn't want to sell Ultimate Bliss. Anyway, what happens is Zahara gets worried because she kind of warned Mei, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this on your own, right? But again, Mei's feeling confident, hey, I've got the power, more experience, I can do this. Well, that didn't work, and even Mei realizes, as she's trapped in the jar as just goo, that, yeah, she should have listened to Zahara. But fortunately for her, Elizabeth, because she had worked for Lindsay, knows that, hey, Lindsay might be onto her and might be prepared for her. So she ends up following up on Mei's situation at the suggestion of Zahara, I believe. And what happened basically is she infiltrates the building, knocks out the guard, if you will, and frees Briella from her Jari prison, if you will. And Briella and her merge back together into Melissa, melt down, and then go into the air ventilation ducts again to get through the building to escape to the outside. So Lindsay then comes back and notices her guard is down, and he's not sure exactly what happened. He can't remember. But she also notices that Mei, or the weird creature she looked at it, is gone. But then she realizes, hey, I'm not worried. Zahara just agreed to sell the business. Now, we're not sure how she got Zahara to sell. We can assume that she called Zahara up and revealed that, hey, I now know why you don't want to sell Ultimate Bliss. You have this special creature, which I can assume is your girlfriend, providing the extracurricular activity for your clients. And that if you want her back, you sell me the business. Now, what's interesting, though, is when she caught her in the previous part, it almost was hinting at that maybe she was going to cultivate her. And what that means basically is like split her in many pieces to sell her off or something. But anyway, long story short, this Lindsay lady gets what she wants and doesn't even care, okay, this creature that was part of maybe Zahara's business, which could be her girlfriend, her partner or whatever, she's not even worried that that it's escaped because she got Zahara's business. With the belief, in my opinion, that now that she's got the business, she's going to also have that formula, that secret that's going to make her even richer. But boy, is she in for a surprise. Anyway, they escaped. Anyway, Elizabeth and Mia escape the building, reform back into the huge form of Melissa, hug Zahara, and then all three of them start to fuse together. And it starts to kind of get a little more intimate, and Elizabeth is like, hey, let's hold off until we get back to the house, right? So, they end up getting back to the house, but, they're not two separate individuals. They're not the fusion of Melissa, they're not the Melissa fusion, I should say, that's Elizabeth and Mia, or the Mara fusion, which is Mia and Zahara and Elizabeth, or Zahara and Melissa, again, which is the, Melissa fusion is the fusion of Elizabeth and Mia. No, instead all three of them have fused together into one. And that's when things start to get more intimate, more interesting later on. But basically, Elizabeth is like, look, let's hold off on our quote-unquote fun for a moment. I got to get into the system. She's got to get into the systems of the Lindsay lady to try to make sure nothing is left behind, everything is cleared, everything is erased, and the story. And the girls, Zahara and Mia, they are teasing her. They're flirtatiously teasing her. They're both kissing each other. Because, what the power allows them to do is create little tendrils where their heads will emerge from them and everything, and they're able to interact. So they do that to see what the status is. They kiss each other. They kiss Elizabeth on both the cheeks. And then go back in, into the bodies that they're in. And after she's done, she feels a little bit of I guess you could say, feeling beneath her. And then we see another tendril come up from beneath her with the fused head of Mia and Zahara called Mara. And for the first time, you have, actually it's not the first time and everything, but the way it's described here in this recent chapter, it is the first time that you get kind of a harmonic or harmonious kind of blending of both Zahara and Mia's voice into one voice. And then let's just say the fun goes from there, and they all basically melt down into a puddle of goo, which expands across the floor. They shapeshift into different furniture or copies of the furniture around them. They get it on and everything. Certain, I guess you could say certain body parts, womanly body parts, emerge and everything. And at the end, and apparently this goes on for the entire weekend, and everything, until basically I think it's the end of the Sunday evening or whatever. And they go, because at the end of the weekend, what happens is they end up fusing together into a new being, into a new woman. And basically, it's played off here by the fact that this fusion, because they've been going at it with each other, all three of them, going at it with each other for so long, that this fusion is now a fusion that basically has a mind of its own, has an identity of its own, but acknowledges where she came from. Because basically she has all the traits, personality and intelligence-wise, as DezzieArts puts it in the story, of her mothers, Mia, Zahara, and Elizabeth. She has all the traits and intelligence and quirks, if you will, of her parents, if you will, from motherly creators. But now she also has to take on a new name to avoid any suspicion, right? So she has to take on a new name, and the new name she comes up with is Levi. Levi, that's Livia. Levi, like live, but Levi is what it is. Livia, Levi. So she comes up with the name of Levi, and what happened is because she's a blending of all three of them, and again, she's her own individual now, she can sense, a lot of, the feelings and the feelings and all that. She can sense the suggestions and things like that and everything. And she senses that Zahara, she's fine with selling the business to Lindsay because even though it's not described here in the story, with Zahara not having a problem selling the business to Lindsay, it's like Zahara realizes that the only reason Lindsay wants it is because not only would be the last piece of a puzzle in controlling that region of where they live, but also because of that secret formula that, much to her chagrin, will not be there. And then, of course, she has her other motherly creator, Elizabeth, who used to work for Lindsay, because of her experience as a spy, double agent, if you will. She comes up with the suggestion of not only, creating different identities and everything, but also creating a new life. Basically going out and, creating something new for them, away from all the hecticness that they just went through. And then the motherly basically convinces her to sell the house, sell the house again to complete, the three-step process of starting a life anew somewhere else as Levi, if you will, as Levi. Livia, Levi. They, go and start a life anew someplace else. Now, what's the next step going to be? We don't know, but apparently Levi, getting all these ideas and suggestions and going through with them, and the idea that, hey, she has this power, that her parents have as well when they separate and everything, her mother, that is, when they separate to become anyone or anything she wants. She's just giddy with so much pleasure on it, of the idea, I should say, that she literally goes into a puddle at the end of the story. Now, what's interesting is just like last year, Michelle, aka DezzieArts, is going to give us a sneak peek next week of what 2025 will have in store. Now, what it will have in store, that's up to her to kind of show us next week, kind of give us an idea of what's going to be the next step and everything. But I can tell you this honestly, we have not seen the end of this Lindsay character. And here's why I say that. Because even though she's got the ultimate bliss parlor, from Zahara, even though she's able to buy it and everything from her, she's going to be in for a rude awakening when she realizes that the one thing that she wanted outside of having the business, as a whole, if you will, is the one thing she got intrigued by is not there. So yeah, basically, I think we're going to find, basically going into next year, we'll go, and we might get a sneak peek of it next week, or at least an idea next week in the sneak peek. But I've got a feeling like I said, we've not heard the last of her because she's going to find out that, yes, she has the hardest business, but not what makes the hardest business click. And again, I think we're going to see more of her in the 2025 edition. Now, what else do I see going on going into next year? Well, honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think what we're going to see next year, just a bit of prediction, not much. I might do a full prediction later like I did last year. But my full prediction here, or one of my predictions, I believe, that we could see is that this Levi is not only going to enjoy being herself and everything, enjoy this life she has as a three-way fusion, but we might get a struggle for control. Here's what I mean. You see, one of the stories that I had, Great Pythenia do for me years ago, had basically had three friends who gained the power to shapeshift and everything, fused together for one friend's wedding, or at least as a wedding gift for the friend. They wanted to fuse together, become one individual. And they were warned by the person that, obviously, from storytelling perspective, had been around for such a long time, centuries, if you will, not to stay as a singular individual or fusion, or they could lose themselves. Well, basically, long story short, they almost did. That is until the person that knows about the power and everything was able to help snap them out of it. Because basically they were becoming, they were losing themselves to the fusion they had become. Basically, they were becoming one identity, and the three of them that fused into this being was ceasing to be, if you will. They were ceasing to be. Well, I kind of see that here with Levi. I see this with Levi next year. Now, we could get a hint of that next week in the sneak peek, but I kind of see that happening more so next year, to where the girls are going to want to separate, try to maybe go get some jobs, to make a living, and she's not going to want to let it happen because she likes her life. She likes living her life and everything. Now, that's just, something that I see possibly happening, maybe not. Now, do I see maybe more intimate, gooey, melty fun between all three girls? Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I also see maybe a four-way happening with Levi being part of it. And how that happens is basically, I think, over time, the powers will evolve. Mostly Miai's power will evolve, and then slowly it'll be, given, basically, or at least, I guess you could say, still what I'm looking for. Miai's power will evolve to the point that she'll be able to separate herself from the fusion, and the fusion will still be there. And I think what will happen is she'll basically, what's the word I'm looking for? She will give. I wouldn't say give, but she will pass. That's the one. She will pass. That knowledge over to Zahara and Elizabeth, and by passing that knowledge on to them and them learning, on their own of how to do it, I can see them separating in Levi being her own individual. Basically, she's a fusion, but now she can, come face to face with her motherly creators. And I can see a four-way lesbian, gooey, melty performance, if you know what I mean. And I can see that. I can see Elizabeth and Zahara fusing together to become one individual for the time being. I can see that. I can see them taking on different, shape shifts and everything to see how far they can go. I can see Levi doing that, and it's been passing it on to their motherly figures as they separate, separate, back into themselves before going back into being her. And then, of course, I think that's what's going to lead to, that whole four-way situation. So I can see that happening. And I can see maybe them going up against some other possible, I guess you say, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Trying to find the right words. Antagonistic situations. I can see him going up against other antagonistic situations that might become a little aware of what's going on with them. And I think the way that would happen is if Levi ends up meeting another woman who's normal and maybe start something with her, and that's kind of where the confrontation of, hey, I don't want to separate. I don't want you guys to separate from me. I want to be my own individual. And then, of course, I think that's what will lead to, like I said, Mia developing and evolving her power, passing it on to Elizabeth and Zahara on being able to diffuse from Levi, but keep Levi intact and be her own individual. So I can see that happening too. But I also believe, like I said, I don't think they are done with this Lindsay Harsher, or whatever her name is, at all. I think this Lindsay lady is going to be back. She's going to find out that the Ultimate Bliss, might be a great addition to her company, but it's missing that one thing that made it special. And then by finding that out, discovering that, she's going to want to find where they're at. And I've got a feeling that if she does do that, she's going to play a huge role. She'll contact those in the areas where she might have some contacts to keep an eye out for these ladies, but to keep an eye out for anything or anyone that might seem a little suspicious or you've never seen around in that area before, because that could be who they're looking for. But that's just my thoughts. But anyway, overall, I think she did a great job here for 2024. Can't wait to see what she's going to tease us with next week in the 2025 sneak peek. But I highly recommend, guys, you check it out at DeviantArt. I highly recommend you check out her page at DeviantArt at DezzieArts and look at the story she has there. I think you'll be thoroughly intrigued and interesting in what she brings to the table. And really, that's all I can say for the time being. And until next time, guys. As I try to get my phone out of my pocket here. I do apologize for a second. Let me rearrange this. If you hear any noise, I do apologize. But anyway, as I log back into my phone. Anyway, though, guys, I just thought I'd come on here and give you my thoughts on it. Again, I highly recommend you check her out. I think you'll enjoy what you see, what you read. I think, honestly, she's got some stories here, like the Metamorphosized Malleability story, that could really be adapted for, animation in the future. But, again, that's all I'm going to say, guys. And as you saw in the description and in the title, Super Chats are open, or were open, and Super Thanks are open after the premiere of this video. And until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later.